Hello and welcome to Mindshift, a PLCS Empowerment Collective podcast. I am one of your hosts, Christopher and I'm so excited to be with you today. And I've got my co-host with me. Go ahead and say hi.
Good morning, everybody. I am Deb Anderson, and I'm so happy to have you all here today.
And I'm really excited for both our topic today and for our guests because we're talking about artificial intelligence. And I might be making this up. What's that called when you make like the Mandela effect, right? So back in the day, I feel like when I was in high school still, there was a movie and I'm pretty sure it was called AI. And I think it was like Haley Joel Osment, you know, the kid from The Sixth Sense. And he was not a real boy. He was like an AI program walking around. I could be making this up. I don't think I am.
Okay, Christopher, we're going to have to look it up, and if we find it, put it in the notes because this is news to me. I know that you are also thinking Terminator, but that's old.
Yeah.
I'm old. I remember Terminator.
The crazy thing with it is that when we think about AI, we don't think about our daily lives. We think about movies, science fiction books, TV shows, things like that. And the perspective that I'm excited to talk about today is where it exists already in our daily lives, where we're interacting with it, where it's present in our work, and we don't even know about it. I mentioned before, I'm really excited for our guest speaker today. So we have a guest here from UNO's AI Learning Lab program. I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me today. My name is Cassie Mallette. I am the program manager of UNO's AI Learning Lab, and I'm really tasked with helping faculty, staff, and students learn how to implement AI into their work or classes and in their studies, trying to help set everyone up for success here with this newer technology that's kind of appeared with generative AI.
And I know that UNO has really been at the forefront of acknowledging AI and the impact that it could have on schools, university setting. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about some of the exciting ways that UNO is doing that?
In 2024, we launched the AI Learning Lab. And one of the biggest things the AI Learning Lab is doing is helping with AI implementation and operations in the classroom, and then also to help students kind of learn how to use it. We ended our first cohort in December for the fall semester, and I was really excited to see that 89% of people said it improved their productivity in work. 90% said it saved them time each week, the majority being 1 to 3 hours. But even some people said up to 10 hours or more it saved them per week by implementing ChatGPT into their work. And then 82% said that it improved how they felt about their work experience. So they were more satisfied with work and that type of thing. So we're doing a lot of cool things, really trying to figure out how it can help in the classroom and in just our work in general.
Cassie, those are really amazing statistics. I mean, when I hear about it, especially getting towards the end of my career, I think, oh my God, I don't know where to begin. And so I think about our parents also maybe feeling like, I don't know half the stuff Cassie's talking about. So how do you help people understand what it is?
Yeah. So one, I think you really have to meet people where they are. This is new. A lot of people are fearful, or you hear all the time, students are just going to use it to cheat and complete their assignments. And are there probably some that will? Yes, because there have always been students who have chosen to go that route of completing assignments unethically. But overall, I find that people become more comfortable when they try it out for themselves. When people interact with it and kind of see the benefits, they become less fearful and feel more comfortable with it. And I normally try to encourage people to start off small, like, hey, give it 3 ingredients or 5 ingredients in your fridge and ask it to make you a recipe that you can make that night. Or if you're planning a trip, ask it, what are the 10 things that I should do with my family on this vacation? And it will give you a list of things that you should do in a certain city or location or something along those lines. And that kind of that makes people intrigued, right? You're like, oh, let me try this out and see how it works. And I always want to tell parents like, hey, how many of you struggle with doing your kids' homework? Because I know that math specifically, not done the same way. There are some tools like photo math where you can give it a picture and it will walk you through the steps of how to do it. It can be beneficial to kind of help you as a parent be more successful with helping your kids also.
You mentioned practical, easy ways to get started with it. I use Claude from Anthropic, and one of the things that cracks me up is I often refer to Claude as my friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, I was talking to my friend Claude, and this is what we came up with. One of the things that I actually used it with over the winter break, I was helping some of my family members with their shopping, and I was like, man, I have a lot of things to buy, and I don't even know, like, what is an 11-year-old into right now? Because my son's 4, I have no idea. And so I went in there and I said to my friend Claude, I said, ask me a series of questions to help me find 3 Christmas gifts for my nephew under $100. And so then it asked me questions about my nephew, and then it said, here's what you should get him. And I was like, perfect.
I love that. And did he love the presents?
Yes.
Love that.
That is, and I think that some of the apprehension is it's a little scary. It's a little scary how well it works. And in the work that you've been doing and in the interactions that you have with folks that went through your cohort, how do you guys address some of that fear?
They always say that it's better than good, but it's not better than expert. So in my own work at like UNO, I'm working with a lot of experts in the field. So I think that's really helpful in saying, hey, it is good, but it's not that good. And as an expert, you can really help to identify some of the ways that it's not good at things. Historically, it has been bad at citations, where it will give you a false, let's say, journal article or book. It sounds realistic. It's a real person and something that maybe they study or publish on, but it's not real. You can't find it anywhere. And understanding that it does have shortcomings and you still need the human experience. I always like to tell people that it is a collaborative partner. If you need help in certain ways that maybe you struggle with, it can be helpful. And I think when you show people how helpful it can be, it's beneficial. Like I did a workshop for a group last week. And at the beginning, they're like, I'm not really for AI. Or a couple people were, they're like, I don't really like it. And by the end, they're like, oh, I can see how that way it would be really helpful for me. And so it can help minimize that fear of AI.
As I'm listening to both of you talk about different platforms, I don't know what you call them, that you use. I know ChatGPT. It's the only one I know. Is there a difference, Cassie, between AI and generative AI?
Yeah, so generative AI is a subset of artificial intelligence, and it's been trained on like hundreds of millions of data points. And so what it's actually doing is it's predicting what you want it to say. So if I ask it, like, what color is the sky? It's been trained on what color the sky is. So it may say, like, the sky is blue. Or it could say, well, normally the sky is blue, but if it's raining, it's going to be gray because of the weather or something like that. And so that's why they always say, like, prompt engineering is so important, because if I give it a question that could have multiple answers, it's going to guess what I want, and I'm probably not going to get the response that I want from it.
So what is prompt engineering?
Prompt engineering is when you're actually, it's like techniques for when you're talking to the tool. So you may say, like, I'm planning a trip. Give me 5 destinations I should do in Destin, Florida, or wherever you're going.
Okay.
A better prompt could, like, that's a good prompt because it's a pretty simple question for it to answer. But you could also say, you are a trip advisor. Like, you could give it a persona. And so it'll take on that role and then it will plan something for you. So I often will do, like, I'm a sociology instructor that's trying to help my students understand how to use generative AI. How can I help them? And it will give me responses specific to that. It's amazing, like, the things it can actually do when you learn how to use it and the good prompting.
I wonder if it would, if there's a way you encourage people to where to start. Is there a certain one AI product that they should use to get started? How do you not overwhelm them with all of the options?
That's a really good question because there are a ton of tools out there. I think if you're getting started, ChatGPT is nice because you do not have to have an account anymore to get started. You can just kind of try it out. Copilot is in the Bing browser as well. And so that's an easy one to get started with, just to ask questions. And some are better than others at different things. So there are some websites out there, like there's an AI for that. If you're looking for something specific, you could do that. I know there's one, it's called Goblin Tools, and it's specifically created for neurodivergent people. And so you can give it like a task you have, and it'll help you break down the task into like more manageable pieces if it's a bigger project. And so I know a lot of people like that tool as well, because it can help people. And you can even do that as a parent. I'm a parent of a third grader. How can I help my student with their homework by like, how can generative AI help me help them, you know? Or I've heard from parents, they've used it to have difficult conversations with their kids of like, I need to have this conversation with my kid about this topic. How would you approach this with them? What kind of questions may they ask? Or let's say they deny something. You can kind of help prepare you for a difficult conversation if needed.
That seems really practical. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
You just listed a number of different tools. And so every episode, we do have resources available on our website at plcschools.org/Mindshift. So I'll make sure to include links to those different tools that you've referenced there, so that way our listeners can go and find those. One of the other things that you said that stuck out to me, because it harkens back to something I said at the beginning of the episode, you mentioned that Copilot is built into the Bing browser. And when we think about AI, we think about things outside of ourselves and not necessarily things that impact our daily lives. I use Amazon a lot for shopping. And I've noticed that relatively recently, within the last couple of months, they started adding AI summaries of the reviews at the top of the review section of every product. And that's somewhere that AI is helping me, and I don't even necessarily realize that that's what it is. Are there other examples like that you can think of where we might be experiencing the byproduct of AI without necessarily knowing that that's what it is?
Yeah, AI's actually been around for a long time, and now they're in ways that are completely normal. So anytime you talk to Alexa or Siri, it's AI. Anytime you watch things like Netflix, or if you or your kids are watching YouTube or listening to Spotify, those algorithms that suggest shows for you, well, if you like thumbs up it or thumbs down it, suggesting songs or new albums you might like, or the next videos you should watch, all of that is AI powered. It's really learning, and there are algorithms, TikTok, Instagram, any of that. It is all AI generated. So it's really in everything that you do. If your kids have used learning programs before, like Khan Academy or ABC Mouse, where it kind of personalizes their learning experience, those also are powered by AI. And so it's really, generative AI is the newer thing that's really kind of freaking people out in its abilities, but AI in general is everywhere. So I agree, those Amazon AI generated summaries are really nice. So you don't have to sift through so many to really understand what the pros and cons are of the products.
All right. I love this. I mean, I'm thinking that everything you're saying, Cassie, is so practical for parents. And I love that we can provide some of those links and the things you've talked about, that we can put that in the show notes.
I can't remember if I said this or not already, but we're actually going to be talking to Cassie for 2 episodes here. So today we're talking about kind of just what the heck is AI and should we be afraid of it? And then next time we're going to be talking a little bit more about what AI can look like for you and your families. So we're going to wrap up this episode here because we're coming close to the end of our time. But just as a takeaway or a teaser, what would you say is the most important thing we want parents to keep in mind about AI?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The one thing I think everyone should keep in mind is that AI is not going anywhere, and it's going to be something that becomes more ingrained in everything that we do, including our jobs, and that understanding how to use AI is a valuable skill not only for our students and our kids as they graduate and go to the workforce, but for us as well to learn how to use it.
Well, thank you, Cassie, so much for being with us today for this episode. And thank you, listener, for listening to Mindshift. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And you can visit our website at plcschools.org/Mindshift for more content. And be sure to join us next week for part 2 of our conversation with Cassie about AI.